can.
I can't do it.
Okay.
We'll do it live.
Okay. No.
We'll do it live. It. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Thing sucks.
Yeah, it does, Bill. Welcome in. It's another edition of the Daily Puck Drop. It's Wednesday, March 5th. If you are tuning in live, listening and watching, thank you very much. Those who are watching and listening later, yeah, we go live every day. It's like New Age radio. Live every day, 10 a.m. You can listen to the show on the Puck Sports mobile app. Download it from the iOS store, also the Google Play Store. If you are watching, you can also watch it live on YouTube and Twitter. Just search Puck Sports. Now, if you're in the live crowd and wondering, well, can I catch this all up later? Yeah, you sure can. We give it to you. Up on YouTube. When you're there, please subscribe to the channel. Just search Puck Sports. Leave a comment. Try to answer as many as I can. Even the ones that say, I fucking hate you. I respond. Also, you can listen on the audio platforms, podcast platforms, Apple, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts, and, of course, pucksports.com. Actually, I've never received a comment that said that. I just made that up to make myself feel better. We are broadcasting from the Puck Sports Studios, which is just my office at home. It is built by Limbeck Lumber. Contractors that got free deliveries, everything from whole house packages to homeowner DIY projects. Largest stock moldings in the Northwest, old school service. They've been doing it since 1930. They are the best in the business, folks. Give them a call, 206-782-3487. Visit them online at limbecklumber.com. They have been here supporting the Daily Puck Drop and pucksports.com from day numero uno. That didn't come out right, but whatever. We're going to get to Jim Moore in a quick second. The go-to guy, Justin Turner. What's coming up on the show today? Justin Turner sounds off for the Mariners. If you have not read the Bob Nightengale USA Today story yet, you are in for a doozy. Tyler Lockett was released today by the Seahawks. We'll get into that one. Rob Staton will join us coming up later in the show talking about key free agents and our weekly podcast visit. We'll give you 20 free minutes or 15 free minutes of Ryan Divish from spring training. But ladies and gentlemen, also follow the social media platforms, Puck Sports on Twitter and Blue Sky. Also on TikTok, Puck_sports. It's where we put all of our video clips there as well. All right, I'm done talking. Ladies and gentlemen, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, he's just got done duck hunting in Bend, Oregon. It is the one and only go-to guy, Jimmy Moore, brought to you by...
No, I just got done going to the dump, actually, Puck.
Oh, I love going to the dump.
I do, too.
I love it. I love everything about it.
Okay, let me ask you if you'd have done the same thing I did today. So I had, 11 hefty bags filled with pine needles, okay?
Okay.
So they've got the regular dump where you pay $16 to go in and just, drop off your garbage. And they also have a yard waste area and, where you take cardboard and you want to be environmentally conscious and all that stuff, right? So, usually I'll take the cardboard and it's free. Well, the woman told me that the yard waste costs $6 a cubic yard.
Ooh.
And you and I aren't good at math.
No.
Nope. I looked at her and I thought, wait a minute, $6 a cubic yard. I've got 11 hefty bags filled with pine needles. What I want to do is take the pine needles over and I'll leave with my black trash bags because they're not recyclable. But it was only $16 just to go to the dump, and it might have been more to go and be, Mr. Environment. And so I said, screw it. And I just dropped everything off in the trash, including the cardboard. I felt bad about it, but it was cheaper to go that way than to do the thing that you're supposed to do for the environment.
Well, when the earth dies so slow and it's happening, you can thank people like Jim Moore for that slow death of Mother Earth.
You would have done the same thing.
Mother Earth. I'm a great recycler. Sorry, friend. Love it. Love recycling.
A cubic yard, what is that? How many cubic yards?
I don't know. I don't ask me math.
Maybe somebody that's listening can help us with that.
No one's watching or listening.
11 hefty bags. Like, how dumb would that have been if I was charged $50?
I didn't know.
16?
I'll be honest with you. I guess I was not aware. I thought the yard waste was free.
That's what I thought too. And I told the woman, I go, look, I'm perfectly fine with emptying the bags and taking the bags with me. And she goes, oh, well, no, you can't. You can do that, but they're going to charge you $6 a cubic yard. Shouldn't we know what a cubic yard is? Isn't that something you learn in high school?
Probably. And I don't know. I don't know and I don't care.
Anyway. Oh, okay.
All right, well,
I know you
hey, I don't think you're a bad person. I think there's a lot of other people. I've probably done something that myself. Why do we like the dump? Why?
Oh God, I like it. I love the dump.
Why though? Why do we like? Does it make us feel like a man?
Well, maybe. I mean,
What is
no,
it?
not really. When I drive in there in my Ridgeline, I'm not feeling like, yeah, look at me in my Ridgeline.
Ridgeline is a truck. I mean, it's more of a gentleman's wagon. My buddy has a Ridgeline. Shout out to the Magnolia Belly. He calls it the gentleman's wagon.
The gentleman's wagon.
The gentleman's wagon.
Okay, the thing is, like, if I'm somebody that's driving a big old Ford truck, I don't think it's cool, little Jimmy driving around in his Ridgeline. But
Hey,
you ask any Ridgeline owner what they think of their Ridgeline, and they're gonna just be like, "It's the greatest vehicle I've ever."
They love
had.
it. Yeah, sure.
I'm up to 355,000 miles on this thing.
Sounds like a great truck.
Yeah, come on.
Jared has checked in on the comments. A cubic yard is a 3 foot by 3 foot cube. LOL.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, those hefty bags are about 4 feet by 4 feet, and if I had 10 of them or 11 of them, it would have cost me $50.
Most people making fun of us on the chat, and for good reason they should. Doug Lawrenson checking in. Thanks, Doug. Matthew. Yeah, we're idiots.
Look at all these math wizards out there.
That's fine. I admit I'm a known idiot.
But all these math wizards would have done the same thing I did and paid the $16 and just, thrown their trash in there. Yeah.
Hey, Charles says the Ridgeline is the Skechers of trucks.
God, I love that thing. I will honestly tear up when I sell it or it finally dies.
Yeah, it's good. It's giving you I can't believe you had that many miles on it. That got to be a record. You should reach out to somebody is it Honda that makes it?
Yeah.
You should reach out to somebody at Honda. What is the most recorded miles on the Ridgeline?
Oh, probably 500,000 or 600,000 though.
Well, just see if
I always like
there.
it though. The guys at Valvoline, when I go in for an oil change,
they're like, "Oh my God, look at this relic."
Sir, how many miles you got on that? 353,000. He's like, oh, hey. He goes, and then they'll tell somebody else.
Eddie, come in here. We got one of those relics.
I love it. It starts every time. It's unbelievable. Okay,
good.
Listen, I know you want to get to Justin Turner.
Yeah. Okay, you're such a big deal.
Staton.
Yeah, you're such a big deal. You have not just one but two sponsors.
Two sponsors of the Monday, Wednesday, Friday segments on pucksports.com. The first one is a Clean Streak. Brian Turner with his professional window washing and exterior cleaning service, proudly serving Island and Skagit counties for more than 10 years. You need gutter cleaning, roof cleaning, window washing, pressure washing, you name it, they'll handle it for you. For a free estimate, call 360-395-5748 or visit acleanstreak.com. Also brought to you by the Home Course. What they're doing down there at the Home Course is awesome. They got their annual stay and play package starting at $109. Here's the deal. You pay for the room and you stay between now and May 31st, and you get 2 free rounds with a cart at the Home Course. Limited number of packages available, so book today, thehomecourse.com/stay. That's thehomecourse.com/stay.
There you go. Home Course and a Clean Streak. Thank you to both proud sponsors of the Go-To Guys. Visit with us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Without your support, your financial support, your emotional support, we couldn't have the great Jim Moore with us Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But actually, that's not totally true because I think I worked the 6 months for you for free. So I was still here.
All right. I want to jump right in the Justin Turner comments. My God, if you have not seen this story today by Bob Nightengale, go get your. God, do they still make? Does the USA Today still print the paper? I don't even know that. I think
they do. I see it, but it's like $3 or $4, maybe even $5.
I used to get it when I worked in Portland and was doing updates and a producer there when I was like young, like 22. I would get that damn paper every morning. I read that thing cover to cover. I read that thing, the sports section.
Okay, let me ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
Your number one favorite thing about USA Today back in the day?
Pie charts.
The pie chart?
Yeah, the pie chart.
Oh, mine was the weather page.
Oh, the weather. Oh, great weather page too. But the pie
The weather
charts.
page was awesome. It was on the back of the A section.
Yeah. So the title of the Bob Nightengale USA Today story: Mariners have unicorn pitching staff, but it's absurd. Seattle won't spend on offense. Go read it. We're gonna just give you the highlights of Bob Nightengale's piece with Justin Turner. I'll just leave it up here. I mean, there are so many quotes in here, Jim. He absolutely destroys Mariner ownership. I mean, destroys it. He said, quote, "The fact they missed the playoffs by one game and didn't go out and add an impact bat or two when you have the best pitching staff in baseball just seems absurd to me." He went on to say to Justin Turner, talking about going back there, because you remember, the Mariners made him like their big offseason plan, was Carlos Santana and Justin Turner. And he said in that regard, said, quote, "Honestly, as much as I wanted to be back there," he said, "if I was the only piece they brought back in, I would be saying the same thing. What the hell are we doing? Are you trying?" There's not.
I know he kind of downplays himself even.
Yeah, he kind of takes a shot at himself. Like, I'm okay, but like, shit, man, if this is it, like, we're not winning anything.
I'm 40. I'm not the guy who played for the Dodgers when you were watching me in the World Series.
I kind of like the honesty from Turner. Hey, I think I'm okay, but I'm not that good. And I'm 40. And listen, he also said there's not going to be a better time to go for it. So I don't know what they're doing. I'm very confused. It's a head scratcher for me. I'm just going to read through these because they are just, it gets better and better and better as you go on in the story. He said, quote, "I told them several times this offseason, you've got a unicorn of a pitching staff. This might be the best starting five in the history of the game. I mean, find me a better five-man rotation." He went on to name kind of like what the Braves had and the Orioles back in the day. And then also went on to say, Justin Turner to Bob Nightengale, "There's never going to be a better time in the history of the franchise to have added a couple of bats and to make a run this year, and they missed it. I thought Alonso was a slam dunk. How can you not go after him? You got to be kidding me." I mean, and hold on, it just gets better and better. I'll save the comments from, because Nightengale did talk to J.P. Crawford, and then Logan Gilbert and Bryce Miller, and we can go over those in a second. He talked about a culture change once they fired Scott Service and went with Dan Wilson. He said there was definitely a culture change. I don't really know how to describe it. Just a vibe, a relaxed intensity. You could definitely see a difference in the room. Where is the one that he talks about Jerry DiPoto? Because he talks about the ownership. All right, here we go. Justin Turner said, "I think Jerry catches a bad rap for a lot of these trades and how crazy some of these trades have been. But now being a part of it, I understand. He doesn't have any money to spend, so he's got to create money. Like, okay, is it really Jerry's fault? He's doing everything he can do to create a budget to be able to do things. It's like when he traded Graveman to Houston for Toro. You're thinking, what in the world? He's probably needed to trade guys just to be able to spend money in the offseason, which is nuts." And then he also, I think, wrapped up. He's got even more. Logan Gilbert is a modern-day Felix Hernandez. He's got the kind of ERA, and he's 9-2. That's crazy. And you got a catcher that's the best catcher in the history of the game in his first 3 years, just won a platinum glove, and you've only got a few more years left for him. There's not going to be a better time to go for it. I feel for them. They've got great fans. Their fans are amazing. They want to win so bad. The team is very profitable, and they don't spend. That you just could not have torched an organization more than Justin Turner just torched that front office and torched that ownership group. And by the way, that last line, this is what we've been saying for 10 or 15 years, though. That they just are not serious about winning. And now you just had a veteran player who is a World Series champion, one of the most respected players in the game of baseball, just told the baseball world they are fucking not serious about winning.
It's a guy like you're talking about that played for the Dodgers who spare no expense. We've all seen that and what the Dodgers are doing. And then to be here and be part of it and to publicly say that he wanted to be back, wanted to come back. But since they didn't do enough. It wouldn't have been just enough to sign him. So, I mean, they get Solano instead of Justin Turner. And Turner was a guy they want, and everybody loved Turner.
And I'll give you,
I think everybody loved Turner. It was like, God, that veteran presence in the clubhouse. Plus, he produced. Plus, you needed a right-handed bat to go with Rayleigh. Jesus, it's just. But that just it's sports talk guys, sports columnists, and fans, everybody in town has been saying what Justin Turner said, and then the Mariners, like Nightengale quoted some of the Mariners there, and I'm sure you're going to get to that. They couldn't really say what they really felt like saying. They can't do that. They end up getting traded, or they have to sit in the corner
because they scolded Cal Raleigh the last time someone came out and said something that was deemed negative by this ownership group. He got slapped on the ass for it. He got spanked. He got paddled, like when I was in Catholic school in kindergarten, and I got paddled with one of the paddles that you remember the paddles you used to have where the string had the ball and the string on it. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what we had. They ripped the string off and then they'd hit you on the ass. Those nuns, they hit hard.
Back in the day when you could spank kids at school.
Yeah, but can you still do that in private, like those private Catholic schools? Can you still do it or not?
I don't know. I got spanked in 5th grade for getting in a fight at a bus stop.
In a public school?
Public school, yeah. Audubon
I say bring spanking
Audubon
back.
Elementary right there, Westlake Sammamish. What
do you think? I say bring spanking back.
Oh, God. I don't think – do parents spank their kids anymore?
Probably not.
Is that child abuse?
I'm trying to think if we've ever spanked our kids. And it's not because I have like some staunch belief against it. Anyone that does, you are a horrible parent. I just don't think I did. I don't think I ever did. That's probably a lie. I probably have once or twice to both of them. I think my dad only spanked me once, but boy, did he. It was well-deserved. He got me good.
Oh, God. I'll never forget the time I was down in Manzanita, Oregon, right there on the coast. And Mikey had just been a piece of shit all morning. and we were playing golf there at that little 9-holer on at Manzanita.
Sure.
And poor Stevie, he's just minding his own business, but we have to leave the course because Mikey's out of control. So I get to a little restaurant there in Manzanita, and we're in, and he's upset about something at the restaurant. I'm like, you little fucker, and I grabbed him and I spanked him. And, I wasn't abusive. I was just spanking him like a parent spanks his kid. And this woman came up to me and she's like, well, I bet you feel like a big man now. And I'm like, what are you talking about? She was, the way you're abusing your kid. And then she took down, I was driving the Ridgeline.
She took down your license plate?
Took down my license plate and was going to report me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say to her, if you'd been with this little motherfucker the last 4 hours, you'd have been spanking him too.
The best part about that story, viewers, Mikey was 20.
No, you know what? If he and I had some sort of confrontation now, he'd kick my ass.
Well, Mikey's a big kid. J.P. Crawford's quote to Bob Nightengale, asking, I think, about, because there's no I don't think the lead up, I don't know exactly what he asked, just about, hey, not adding to the team. And J.P. Crawford said, and this is, I like JP. This is an odd quote, but maybe he's getting.
No, why do we always have to preface it with JP?
You're right.
Say
you're
like,
right. You're right.
hey,
You're right.
I like him, but I like.
You're right.
Him, but
I don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand the quote from him. I don't understand what he's saying. I think it's chicken shit when you throw it back on fans. That's me. He said that's not our job. JP Crawford said, I know the fans are mad at certain people, but they're taking it out on the players, so I really don't get that. Are people taking it out on the players?
No.
No, maybe there's examples that we don't know.
They want the current players to have a better chance at winning, and that means bringing in better players to go with the current players.
Well, maybe J.P. Crawford's getting stuff on social media that we don't know about. I don't know. But
well, and J.P., of course, he's going to stick up for ownership and Jerry Dipoto because he probably shouldn't be the starting shortstop anymore. He wouldn't be anywhere else.
I would say the time is running out.
Yeah.
Time as well, but if there's no option, what's the option right now?
I don't know. One of those young guys they keep talking about.
Yeah, but they're not ready.
Could he do worse?
Yeah, those guys aren't ready, though. They're not ready to take it over. But whatever. Maybe he's getting stuff from fans that we don't know about. But again, I don't think it's – to me, I don't see the fans getting mad at the players. I think the fans are mad at ownership. and have been for a while, and are mad also at Jerry Dipoto there as well. Gilbert didn't really. I mean, again, these guys can't say anything because the last time anyone said anything publicly, Cal Raleigh got reprimanded. I mean, remember how stupid that was? Remember how lame it was for Scott Service and these guys to make the catcher, the leader of the team, come out and apologize. I'm sorry for what I said. No. You think Lou Piniella would have made Dan Wilson come out and apologize? No. That was such chicken shit what they made him do. BS. Just ridiculous. So I don't know. I just it's annoying. It's annoying to me. But again, it's just what they've always done. It's what they've always been, and it's bothersome. It really is.
How about just hearing that from a player who actually wanted to play for the Seattle Mariners, and it wasn't a pitcher; it was a position player who could say, hey, the travel was too much. The ballpark's hard to hit in. I don't really want to go there. But they didn't really even come through with an offer for him. And you would have thought after losing out on Santana to Cleveland.
No. They did have an offer for Turner. No.
But
no,
but it wasn't what he got from the Cubs.
Yeah, no. This is why you're going to have to go and I'm glad you brought that up. This is a perfect segue. And we have some breaking news on the Seahawks we're going to get to in just a quick second. This is the breaking news show of record. And for the we'll get to it in a second because I got a lot that's bothering me today about people on these quote content creators on social media. They just really piss me off today.
Well, let's hear it.
Well, we're going to get to it in a second.
Okay.
Divish on the Ryan Divish podcast today, which again the full episode, video, audio, nearly 50 minutes is available for Puck's Posse members. Guys, listen, it's $5 a month. You get a discount for a year, and Divish pays for it itself. But we'll give you, coming up later in the Daily Puck Drop, we'll give you 15 minutes of it for free today. I don't think I included this part in the free 15 minutes, but I'll give you the little nugget on Justin Turner. According to his sources, and those sources are Ryan Divish at the Seattle Times, by the way. They offered Justin Turner more money than the Cubs, and he turned him down.
Oh, they did.
More money. And he had more money, according to Divish, on the table for the Mariners than he did for the Cubs, and he said, F it. They're not serious about winning.
God, good for him, man. I mean, yeah. I mean, you look at Solano and Polanco being the big acquisitions, and the Polanco thing just blows me away.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Best case scenario, he'll be healthy all year, of course, all of that. But
he hasn't even been in the infield yet. The season starts in 3 weeks.
Okay, but I'm sorry, Puck. Perry Hill. You got to think about Perry Hill.
Sorry.
I mean, he'll turn him into a Gold Glover, and won't be any more questions about
Hey, you know what? I'm at the point right now. Fuck it. Perry Hill at third base. Why not?
Well, and so now there's talk if Polanco's not ready at third,
he's not going to be ready.
Well, boy, the all utility guy, we got Dylan Moore. We can slide him over and have Bliss start at second.
Hey, I'm going to time check this because I'll play it back because if I'm wrong, which I'm wrong a lot, what is it? 25-38. Here we go. I'll bet you $1. I'll bet anybody $1. He won't be ready. He won't be ready. He won't be the starting third baseman March 27th. He won't be ready to play.
Okay, did he delay the surgery, or is it a surgery that takes 6 months or something, or
who knows?
Patella tendon.
He has talking to Divish about it today. He's done infield, where they hit him ground balls, but Divish is what he hasn't done is a slow chopper. He hasn't done where he has to charge the ball, plant, and throw. And I'm like,
right.
Well, that's interesting because that's what a fucking third baseman needs to do. And I'm really swearing a lot today. I apologize.
Yeah, well, they're slow playing him, understandably, because they don't want to have a setback.
I mean, I could spend 2 hours on this Justin Turner interview with Bob Nightengale. I don't think I have never. This is so damning for John Staton and this ownership group, and for Dipoto himself. And I'm not giving Dipoto a free pass for all the stuff he's had to do. Because I do think there's a part of Dipoto that likes not spending money to a degree. I think he likes the whole little chess match of trades. And even if he has to trade guys, and if that is the edict from the ownership group, you have to trade guys, he's made terrible trades. I mean, he has. You can't defend him.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Graveman for Toro thing, and not just, losing what you had in the bullpen with Kendall Graveman, but you lose your clubhouse by doing stuff like that. You lose your bullpen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's the mental, emotional part of it too.
Of course.
And then if you're the new player coming in, like Abraham Toro was an okay player, but boy, a lot of pressure on him. Like, oh God, this guy, he's trash compared to Graveman. Why we get this guy?
Yeah. Let's get to the breaking news on the Seahawks because you and I, years on the radio, we have been the breaking news show of record.
Well, I texted it to you, and I don't know if you saw it or not, and I just didn't want to blurt it out because I thought it might be a burner account or something.
Did you double check it?
No, I haven't had time because I'm.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
There it is. I know. I think maybe Schefter had it first, but this is the one that popped up for me. Tom Pelissero, DK Metcalf has requested a trade. Hey, how does that crowd feel? These content fucking creators on here that sit there and yell at everyone all the fucking time about this. They're never going to trade him. It's never possible that he can be traded. Why do you people say this stuff? Like, just please learn your lesson from Russell Wilson and stop saying absolutes. Stop it. Just say, I don't think they should trade him. I don't think it'd be wise to trade him. But stop saying there's no way they're going to trade him. God, just stop doing it, please. So there you go. It's all over the NFL world right now.
Yeah, the only thing is though, Puck, what do you get for him? We've talked about this.
I don't know.
And you're thinking what, a second, a third?
Well, you'd hope. I don't think you'd get a first for him.
And I wouldn't think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, and you, I'm wrong a lot, but
we're wrong.
I'm DK Metcalf.
It's the wrong show of record.
Are you excited about Clint Kubiak being your new offensive coordinator and this focus on the running game? And I'm sure they're saying, hey, we want to have the play action and work off of that and get it to you, DK. Don't worry about that. I mean, they say all the right things publicly, but
well,
if I'm a marquee elite receiver like DK, I don't want to play in some running game offense.
Well, and I don't know what leads to that. I mean, I know what leads to it. I mean, obviously the agent for DK Metcalf has reached out to all of the NFL media today. So it started with Schefter, and then it trickled down to Tom Pelissero and Ian Rappaport and our guy Garofolo. And he's getting it out there. Because this is where it's coming from. It's coming from, I would assume it's coming from the agent. I don't know why it would come from the team, but whatever. And he wants a trade. And I like the part at the end. He prefers a contender.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's kind of a shot at the Seahawks, right?
Well, yeah, but what do you think he's so upset about?
That they're not going to give him his money. That they told him that they're not going to pay him. Or whatever offer they've given him, have talked about him, is not close to what he wants. But to me, that's what it clearly is. Maybe he knows something what's up with Geno Smith. Maybe he knows they're not going to give Geno Smith a deal. Or I don't know. Maybe he knows that they're trying to shop Geno. I have no idea. I have no idea why he's turned sour. I have no clue.
God, what's that leave you in the receiver room, though, with Tyler Lockett being released today? You got JSN and Bobo.
And we got one back. We got Bobo, the great white hope. We're back.
So do you say to Tyler on his way out the door, hey, man.
Hey, Tyler, you want to cut? Hey, Tyler. Hey, hold up, Tyler. Hey, Tyler. Come on. What do you want? You got that Keller Williams thing going with the house, right? Come on. Let's bring it back.
I don't know. You in favor of it?
Am I in favor of trading him?
Yeah.
So I'm not in favor of, I'm going to talk down both sides of my ass here because I love DK Metcalf, what he can be, but he hasn't turned into what he can be. And I think we make a lot of excuses for him. A lot of excuses for him. It's always somebody else's fault with DK a lot. And
he's not the greatest route runner either, is he?
Well, I'm not going to get into route running because then I'm going to get a call from Hugh, and I can't be on the phone for an hour.
No, you can say that though. I mean, when
What?
people talk about that,
I don't know about his route running. I really don't. I've never played wide receiver.
Yeah, but
haven't
you heard that out there? Haven't you heard that?
Sure, that's been a criticism of his route running in his hands and all that. I'm just saying, for a man who is as physically gifted as DK Metcalf is, and look at him, that guy should be dominating cornerbacks. There should not be a defensive back in this league that should ever take him out. Ever. Look at him. Look at his size and speed, and he doesn't dominate. He doesn't. He just never dominates. And we always make excuses for him. Well, it's the quarterback, or it's the scheme. I mean, maybe it's him. Maybe he's a really good wide receiver, not elite. And that's what I think he is. I think he's a good wide receiver. I don't think he's an elite wide receiver. And for
okay. And let's say you're right about that, and I tend to agree with you. Okay, given that, as there's going to be a lot of GMs that feel the same way you do around the league, and so what do you get for a guy like that? If that's the perception of DK Metcalf in the NFL, I
don't know.
And I know you talk.
I'll text Garofolo right now and ask him what could they get for him.
God, I just, and I know you said that Deebo Samuel is, on the downside of his career, not as good as DK, but
he hasn't put up the numbers like
maker
DK
he's been for the 49ers.
I know.
You only got a 5th rounder for him.
Yeah, but you look at the numbers, like DK's better than him. Look at his numbers all across.
Okay, I know he is, but I don't think you're going to get a 1st rounder for him.
I don't think you're going to get a 1st rounder for him.
Which that should be the only reason you would trade him, except for not wanting to pay him and the salary cap concerns and all that stuff.
Let's you know what? Let's get to it. You want to stick around for just you want to say hi to Rob Staton?
Yeah, sure. I'll say hi to Rob.
Because who doesn't want to say hi to Rob? Rob's, this guy. He's the hi, Rob. How are you?
Hey guys. Hi, Jim. How are you?
Rob, I love you.
I love you, Jim.
Thank you.
Rob Staton is with us. The Rob Staton Show. It's brought to you by Superior Linen Service, family owned and operated since 1926. Give them a call, 253-383-2636. Visit them at suplinen.com. They deliver the highest quality products and service to the greater Puget Sound area. Rob is with us for his weekly visit, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Check out his YouTube channel, Rob Staton Football. Follow him on Twitter, Rob Staton. All right. Jim, you ask Rob a question about DK. What do you think he'd command? So you go ahead and ask him.
Well, God, just a couple things. If I can ask a 2-part question for you, Rob. Is it true, do you think, that DK is he elite or just really good based on, concerns about his route running and maybe not producing the way we expected, a guy that is a physical specimen like he is? And then on the trade market, we were speculating a 2nd and a 3rd, but I don't think for receivers out there, especially in the NFL, God, all these different trades, you never seem to get that much back. You couldn't get a 1st for him, could you?
First question, obviously elite traits, but just there's been too many parts of his game that have not been elite, which have prevented him from taking the next step. If you watch somebody like Julio Jones at his best, Mike Evans, they are also physically elite. You could just throw the ball in their general direction. They'd box the defender out and they'd win 1v1s. DK Metcalf has never done that in his career. He is a straight line runner. He can take the top off a defense, but he's never been able to take that next step. His hands are inconsistent. There was always a maddening 15-yard penalty around the corner, and that has prevented him from becoming a truly elite player. On the question of his value, I don't know what you're going to get from him, but what I would say about him and this draft is, first of all, you have not got an amazing receiver class in terms of the 1st round. It's good in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round range. But you have not got a ton of receivers who are going to go early. So if you are a team, let's say Green Bay, there is immense amount of pressure on Brian Gutekunst to find a number 1 receiver. And he may not be able to find that in the draft. If he brings in DK Metcalf, all of Green Bay will go, fair enough. You've then got other teams. You've got, let's say, the Buffalo Bills desperately need a number 1 receiver. The Chiefs. There's teams like that. There's going to be teams at the top of the 2nd who need somebody like him. And as much as we can sit here and all agree that he is a flawed player with great traits, he's a big, flashy name who's 27 years old. and NFL teams love to trade for players like this. So I would not be surprised if you get a pick between 23 and 45 for DK Metcalf.
Okay, late first, early second.
That'd be my guess, but let's see, because it's always hard to predict these things, isn't it? Sometimes you get blown away by a trade compensation, and sometimes you think, is that it? I mean, when Joe Tooney was traded to the Bears for a ham sandwich earlier, you're thinking, is that it? So, but I know he's 32, but hopefully the Seahawks are going to get a better deal than that.
I'm just trying to think. I'm going back. A.J. Brown trade.
That was about the 18th overall pick.
Was that what it was?
It's about that, yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to find the exact details. I can't find it. There's some rumor about him going to New England right now. All right. So, give me a second.
Well,
Around
Rob,
the 18th,
if they get a reasonable return for DK
for the 8th,
Metcalf,
hold on.
would
Hey,
you
Jim,
be on
hold on.
board?
Hold on one second. I just wanted to get it's for the 18th and the 101st overall picks. That was the deal. A.J. Brown from the Titans to the Eagles.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jim.
Well,
Sorry.
No, that's okay. It's your show. Reasonable.
Goddamn
return
right
for
it
DK
is.
Metcalf. If you get a one more time, if you get a reasonable return for Metcalf, would you be on board with that?
Yes. I think the fact that he has requested a trade on a day that should be for celebrating Tyler Lockett is classless. And maybe that's unfair to sort of point that. Maybe there's other reasons why it's come out now, about an hour after Tyler Lockett's announcement. But I think that is poor on his behalf. So I've kind of lost any kind of faith in him. And then the great opportunity that is now here for John Schneider to finally deliver on the thing that he's been talking about for so long. He has said repeatedly that they want to be a team that is built up front, that they want to be this type of team. You've now got a head coach who is saying that. So if you get a reasonable return for DK Metcalf, time to put your money where your mouth is. Go and use the resources that you get to build a tough, physical, trench-based football team. You are going to have an opportunity to do that now. So if you move on from him, save that money, you will have more free agency money to go and get Will Fries next week, who has to be the guy they have to go on the side. Maybe they can go and get Drew Dahlman as well. Who knows? And then you've got first-round picks, potentially more than one, maybe a couple of twos to go and reinforce your team. And as much as I've just said there's no top-end receivers in this draft, there are good number twos. Emeka Egbuka's from Tacoma. He's a massive Seahawks fan. He talks about the Seahawks all of the time. Like, he is a huge Seahawks fan. He'd be really good to go alongside Jackson Smith-Jigba. Really smart character guy. A legendary leader at Ohio State. There's players like that you can go. Jalen Noel. So you can replace DK Metcalf in this draft, but go and make sure that those trenches are absolutely reinforced. You've got a chance to do that if you trade DK Metcalf.
You go back and all the the look of how they've built their teams in the past. I was looking for a different word. Evidence of how they view the wide receivers. You go back to when they won the Super Bowl. Listen, they didn't have an elite wide receiver. Not one of them. No. Look who their group was. They didn't win the Super Bowl, get back there because of elite wide receivers. And if they want to get back and play that style of football, they can just look back as evidence. Listen, and I'm not taking anything away from those wide receivers. But Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse, Golden Tate. I mean, that wasn't elite. They won because of defense, good offensive line, and they ran the ball. And that's what they want to be again. So from their perspective, I guess people would ask this question, right, Rob and Jim? Why would they entertain trading him? Well, because why would we spend all this money on a wide receiver if we're really not going to throw the ball all over the place? We want to get back to running the ball.
Exactly.
So it makes sense to, yeah.
Exactly. And there's players in this draft that you can go and get Kyle Williams. You guys will be happy with that.
Let's go. Give me Kyle
Where
Williams.
Where's he going to go, Rob? I mean, what would you guess? What round?
I've got a third round grade on him, and he could go in round 3, round 4 would be my guess.
Yeah, he's a first round grade for me and Jim.
Of course.
It'll
be a bargain then.
Hey, Jim, you know who I love? And just because we watched him play one game, and I know it was against our horrific secondary, someone's got to tell me, maybe he's bad somewhere. I don't know where it is. Give me Nick Nash out of San Jose State.
Nick Nash, what a player.
That dude is a beast. And now I know he torched us, But Jesus, man, that one, Jim, right? When you saw him play,
Over
you're
200
like,
yards.
That guy's good. And he looked like an NFL wide receiver already.
Was he at the combine?
He didn't do any running or anything, so he didn't perform. But I don't even think he was invited. But I had him in sort of third, fourth round range, and I'm down for a bit of Nick Nash. There's a lot of people who like Nick Nash. He has his own little fan club online, so
good.
He'd be an interesting pick. I'm up for that.
Yeah, man, I watched that guy. Remember, we did a good job in the first half against him. Like, and then he obliterated the Cougs in the second half. You got any more questions for Rob before you go, or do you want to stick around? What do you want to do?
Oh, I'm good. I mean, Rob has got all the information. Okay. You know, I lack in the inside area when it comes to the NFL.
It's not true.
I mean, I'm pretty good when it comes to opinions and bullshit, though.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll cut you loose.
Okay. Thanks, Buck.
See you, buddy.
Hey,
there he is, Jim
great
Moore.
to see you,
Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, the go-to guy with us, brought to you by A Clean Streak and, of course, the home course. Well, we're going to discuss, we'll get into the combine, your thoughts, but the one thing I would say about the DK this day, and I mean, clearly this is coming from his agent the day that Lockett, I don't know, maybe the agent had no idea. Maybe that's it. But I would assume, but when he requests this trade, what does that tell you? He doesn't like what they're offering?
I mean, I don't know. I just got the sense listening to people that maybe it was trending this way. Maybe the Seahawks have kind of had enough, and DK wants a fresh start, and I get the sense in the language that Schefter used in his tweet that there might be some bad blood here when he said he wants to play for a contender.
Yeah.
That is a dig at the Seahawks. Yeah. And look, he's not completely incorrect, because they haven't been a contender for a number of years. And in saying that he wants to go to a contender, that automatically rules out a whole bunch of teams who are picking at the top of round 2 who are definitely not contenders. It means that he wants to go to the Bills or the Chiefs or the Packers or somebody like that. So we will see what happens from this. I think both parties have just had enough. I don't know if the contract negotiations have led them down that path. I don't know if there was something else maybe that was frustrating them behind the scenes. There's been all this talk that they were at least listening to offers over the combine. So maybe this has been on the cards. I have to say, Puck, you know, I'm not tied to any player on the team. Like, it just, for me, it's about the Seahawks. And
I agree.
When they're moving on from DK Metcalf and ultimately with Tyler Lockett, who we all have immense respect for, I kind of feel like, it's been inevitable. Let's get on with, you know, the next group of players who are gonna try and drive this team forwards. And that's what I want to know what they're going to get for DK. I want a resolution to this ASAP. I want to be able to do mock drafts with the Seahawks having extra picks now, and I want to sort of think about what they could do, because it's not a great draft at the top end. You know, if you've got a top 10 pick, you're going to be frustrated this year. But there is some depth in this draft. So if you end up with a 2 and a 3, you can make great use of those picks. If you end up with a 1 and a 4, you can make great use of those picks.
Yeah.
There's a great opportunity in this class with the depth and the talent and some of these interesting players that are in it to really drive your team forwards with young talent.
We brought it up earlier about what did A.J. Brown get? Just, again, both of these guys played at Ole Miss. They are very comparable players. They've always kind of been tied together since coming into the league. And remember, he was traded back when he was at 18th in the 101st overall pick. He was entering the final year of his rookie deal when he was traded. And at the time he was traded 3 years younger than DK Metcalf. So just keep that in mind when we're, because that will be a comp. Well, what did A.J. Brown get? 18th and 101st overall, and we'll see what DK gets, or if they end up, you can always resolve this stuff. If they come to him and give him a contract that he's like, okay, I'll take that, then whatever. He requested a trade, but now they give him the money. So I don't think the door is shut on him coming back. But I just think, obviously, with the philosophy, right, Rob, of this organization, what we just touched on a little bit ago, they want to get back to how they used to play football. They've made that clear from day one this offseason. And I think getting back to the way that they used to play football doesn't really have a wide receiver that makes a ton of money. And certainly not paid like an elite one. And they've never had that until DK.
And you look at some of the recent teams that have got to the Super Bowl. I know that the Eagles are a different kettle of fish, and you can't really count the Chiefs because they've got Patrick Mahomes. But look at the Niners. Like, the Niners have been Trent Williams, Christian McCaffrey, a quarterback who works in the system. And yeah, they've ended up paying Brandon Ayuk, and they had Deebo Samuel, but Deebo Samuel's not been at his best for a few years now. Brandon Ayuk is a player that they drafted in a good value spot. Wow. Has done a good job for them, but he's been paid an absolute fortune. This is not a team that was run through its receivers. And if you want to be that kind of team, you want to run that kind of offense, which is why they've appointed Clint Kubiak, you don't need those big name receivers. You just need disciplined, professional, crisp route runners.
Yeah, I mean, the one, I guess, and I agree with you. The one counter with that would be, and we'll see what happens here in the next year or two with how they attack the salary cap, would be the Eagles. I mean, they've got money tied up with A.J. Brown. But did I just see somewhere they're even thinking about trading A.J. Brown now?
There's been a bit of talk.
To the Patriots?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, his name's been sort of doing the rounds, but yeah. I don't know how viable it is. I think it's a good reminder to everybody that there's several ways to skin a cat. And in the NFL, you can win a championship with a high-octane passing offense led by big-name receivers. But you can also win it with great defense, a tough physical running game, a playmaking running back like the Eagles had, and smart quarterback play. And I think that's where the Seahawks need to go now, because that's what they've said they want to do. I got a bit bored of the Seahawks saying they want to be this trenches team, and then they go and draft a skill player in round one again, or a cornerback. You can think, come on, this is what you want to be now. I'm looking at this draft, I'm looking at the board, and you're saying there's a whole bunch of defensive linemen, there's a whole bunch of offensive linemen that you can go and target here. And yes, I'm very prepared for them to go, and there's some interesting receivers. And even in the first 2 or 3 rounds, there's some very interesting receivers if you want to replace him early. But first and foremost, it will be unacceptable if we're sat here in a week or maybe in a couple of weeks, because it starts next week, and we're looking at an offensive line that still doesn't look fixed. They have got to fix this. The pressure's on John Schneider.
Especially when you're watching the Bears, right? You're watching the Bears, what they're doing with their offensive line, and then the reported trade now for Tunia or for Kansas City. What was it, a 4th-round pick for the All-Pro?
In 2026. A 4th rounder next year.
Now they owe him $15 million, right? Is that the deal?
Yeah, I mean they could lessen that by extending him, so they could tack another year on and lower that. The thing is the pressure's on John Schneider here. This trade request, it increases pressure. He's got to get a good deal. If Metcalf goes somewhere else and succeeds, that increases pressure.
Of course.
Schneider has got to go and fix the offensive line. He has to be seen to have success in the veteran market this year, because his free agent signings bombed last year. He's just had to release Draymond Jones. I think the team is constantly on the periphery of the playoffs rather than actually feeling like not only someone who could qualify, but someone who could actually make some noise in the playoffs. And if we get out of free agency and he has not done anything significant to the offensive line, or worse, he has done something significant, but it's a bad mistake. Like, I would think paying Aaron Banks, San Francisco, a ton of money, a player who's never done anything in the NFL. Then if he comes out of this and it's another whiff, then the pressure ramps up big time on Seattle's GM. Alternatively, if he gets a good deal for DK Metcalf, if he can go and pull a rabbit out of the hat next week and go and get Will Fries and or Drew Dolman, then people will be feeling a lot more positive about life.
Yeah. I would like to know because you are right. And I brought that up before you came on with Jim, just about the last point there that Schefter had in the tweet, that he prefers a contender. And I'm like, that feels like a real subtle, not so subtle shot at the Seahawks organization, because they would tell, whether we believe it, they would say we're contenders. We're contenders. We're contenders every single year. I would like to just know where the falling out was. I'm just trying to rack my, brain around this past season. Was there writing on the wall? Was there anything that happened? And I think mostly, where he had a moment or a stretch of games where he was dominant and then it cooled off and he dealt with the injury and all that. But I think there was one sideline or one on-field incident now, but it wasn't out of control crazy. And I guess the frustrating part with him, Rob, is, and you said it at the get-go with Jim, is as I've felt about him, he has the elite traits. He just has not become the type of wide receiver that I thought he would become. And where you look at his size and his speed, and I just don't know how he doesn't dominate more. And I hear all this talk, and for people who defend him, who understand a lot of football better than I do, about, well, he's double-teamed a lot. Well, isn't Justin Jefferson double-teamed? Isn't Mike Evans double-teamed? I mean, all these guys everyone's double-teamed if you're a good wide receiver, but they still find themselves open and getting balls. Like, he's not the first wide receiver in the history of the NFL to be double-teamed. You're telling me Michael Irvin wasn't double-teamed when he was playing for the Cowboys?
Well, Mike Evans is perhaps the most underrated player of his generation. He's going to be he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. He's a Super Bowl champion. He's been unbelievable with Tampa Bay. And it's amazing because he is everything that you'd sort of expect in an NFL superstar. And he's got all of the production and all of the wins. And yet it doesn't seem to get anywhere near as much attention as some of these other players who are lesser players. And yet you could just throw the ball in his direction. I mean, he's done it against Seattle on multiple occasions when we played the Bucs, is that he will just come down with the football. And that is what you hoped DK could be. He has never become that. The one thing with him is, and this is, this is going to be hopefully help the Seahawks, is that he can get downfield. And if you remember the Green Bay game last season in Lumen Field, they attacked Seattle, down the field very, very well. And they may think, look, Jordan Love can throw downfield to this guy and he can just take the top off. Josh Allen needs a player like this who can get downfield with a big body and just make those big chunk plays downfield. And there will be teams, and look, Mahomes and the Chiefs may well think that way as well. So, I think there will be teams that look at this. I do wonder a little bit. I mean, maybe there are questions to be asked, Puck, about he's leaving, Tyler Lockett's leaving. What is the state of this team right now? Where is it at? Where is it as a team? Is it the people behind the four walls at the VMAC? Is everybody sort of pulling in the right direction here? Is everybody on the same page? Is this a well-run organization? It kind of feels like it is, but you never really know, do you? And I don't know. Maybe there was some people will have those fears moving forward now. Is there a danger of the wheels coming off a little bit here?
Well, okay. I mean, I think that the Lockett thing was inevitable. That was always going to happen. They were never going to bring him back under that number. For DK, I mean.
But Lockett, he's pretty much said goodbye today. There's no kind of like, well, he might come back. So it does feel kind of final on this. Is that maybe I'm just sort of thinking out loud on that. It just.
Well, no, I understand. I understand what you're saying. But I do think that based on, I think based on what he was going to make, and I just think his age, I think they had to move in a different direction. Maybe he'll go someplace and he'll be productive, and then they'll be like, oh my God, why did we get rid of? Why did the Seahawks get rid of him? Why did they not pay him the money? He just had another productive season in a better offense. That could very well happen, but. I mean, I don't know. He seemed like he was, he's reaching that point in his career where he was kind of done. Maybe they could find a younger option that can provide more, maybe build the offense more around, Jackson Smith and Jigba. We'll see it'll be interesting to see what his numbers do this next season, because, if he doesn't have a DK there or somebody else there, now, does he get all the attention? And now are we going to talking about, well, he's double teamed all the time, so he's not ever getting the ball. But
what do you think this means for Geno Smith?
I thought about that. See, I brought that up with Jim. I thought, does DK and his people know something about Geno that we don't know yet? Does he know that maybe they're not going to offer him something, that maybe there's a chance that they get rid of him? I don't know. I think I would say this, Rob. I think everything's on the table. This is why I don't understand when people in our business, and I'll lump everybody in it, speak in absolutes all the time. This won't happen, and I just remember I remember years ago when we were back on radio, the whole Russell Wilson thing, and I would just listen to people go on and on about how, well, there's no chance they'll trade him. You don't know that. No one knows that other than John Schneider at the time and Pete Carroll. Like, you don't know that. And then the same thing started to happen with DK Metcalf. When people go on and on about, well, there's no way they're going to trade him. That's foolish to even think that. You can have, your opinion can be, I wouldn't trade him. But to speak in absolutes, I think is always foolish. And I'll never speak in absolutes. So I won't speak in absolutes with Geno Smith. I think everything's on the table with him. And I don't care. You and I have talked about this a million times before, probably. I don't care what they say publicly. I don't care what Mike McDonald says at the Combine or what John Schneider says at the Combine or on his flagship radio station. I don't care. They're professional liars. They just are. They're never going to tell you the truth. It's not their job to do that.
I'm really intrigued to see what happens now, because I kind of figured that John Schneider spelled it out. They were having their talks last Friday, and it's now Wednesday. And I think when he did his initial deal after the Combine, it was the Tuesday or the Monday after the Combine when they got that done. So, there's always a chance we could hear something today, tomorrow, Friday, or whatever, where they get this done. But the longer it goes into the week, I guess it becomes more of an issue that they haven't come to a compromise agreement. And then what happens? Do the Seahawks just sit on the $44.5 million cap hit? They've created plenty of cap room now. They could do that. Did they look around? The problem is there are so few alternative options out there.
Hey, Gardner Minshew's available.
Yeah, indeed.
Well, I mean, is Sam Darnold going to be available?
Yeah, he's going to be so expensive, and he will be available now because he's not been tagged. So right. I guess he's an option.
Could work out a smaller deal. I know there's been talk of a smaller deal with Minnesota, but
yeah, and then you look. Then you're into the sort of the dance that everybody else is. Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones, Justin
Bring Aaron
Fields.
Rodgers to Seattle. Let's go. Let's get the train wreck that is Aaron Rodgers.
This is kind of why I suppose I said what I said before, is that all of a sudden you've got this relatively unknown. Like, what is happening with Geno? What's happening with DK Metcalf? What's going on here? Are they just on top of their brief and if every right decision's being made here, or is there something wrong? I don't know. When stuff is happening like this, when there's drama, you can't help but think it could be anything.
Well, and I think just back to your original point about Geno Smith, he's under contract, so he technically can't go anywhere, but is he now wondering, well, what the hell?
He could request a trade.
Yeah, I got one of the best options. Well, the best option I had to throw to is now requesting a trade. The other guy, again, I know is aging and had a down year for him. He's gone. And now who am I throwing to? I'm throwing to JSN, who's great, and then who else? That's it. Jackson Smith-Njigba show.
It's a big need now. There are receivers out there, thankfully. It is quite a strong, not strong, that's the wrong word. It is there are names out there that you could bring in to sort of pad out your depth chart at receiver. And there's draft options, but it is all of a sudden like now you've only got JSN. There's nobody else. If you move DK Metcalf, there is nobody else. Now, maybe I think one of the speculative suggestions was that if you trade him to Green Bay, you get a receiver back from them. So maybe that would be part of any deal, is that they need somebody back who can be a 3 or a 2 for Seattle. I don't know. I'd personally rather have the draft stock than that, but we'll see.
And March 16th is the date for Geno, right? That's the $10 million roster bonus.
I believe so. They've got to sort this out, and then on top of all of this, there's the sort of the need to add to the offensive line.
Yeah.
And you brought up Chicago earlier. It's hard because if you are a Bears fan right now, there's no guarantee that Jonah Jackson and Joe Tooney are going to work out, or that that the Bears line will be great. But if it fails, the fans will be able to turn around, Puck, and go, "I understood the plan." And that's in Seattle. We've not had a plan on the offensive line that you and I could sit on a show and go, "This is great, isn't it? This is really understandable. I can see what they're doing here," rather than just. Laken Tomlinson, he'll do. Better sign Connor Williams in August. That's not a plan.
Yeah, I mean, it's where they're going to go forward now in free agency, and maybe this is part of the plan to sit there, and if they can move him, not have to pay DK. They've already made the moves, obviously, with the releases yesterday with Jenkins and Draymond Jones and Roy, what was it? Roy Rob. What was his
Oh,
name?
yeah, Roy Robertson
Roy
Harris.
Robertson Harris. He's gone. So they've saved, what, $27 million? I'm going to miss Roy. I really am.
I'm going to miss the impression. I almost hope he comes back for that. Can I just say on a positive note?
Yes, go positive.
On a positive note, and look, this is a positive because I do think the Seahawks need to draft a quarterback at some point.
Yeah.
I thought the quarterbacks who performed at the Combine, even sort of the lesser names, had a good session. I thought that was a good Combine for most of the quarterbacks who were there. And I think if the Seahawks want to draft somebody to have them, as many people have called for, to have them developing behind the scenes as a potential heir apparent, I think they will have that opportunity this year.
Who did you like the most?
Well, I was most surprised by Tyler Shook. I think that he is somebody who I'd watched. I think he's a bit of a mixed bag, his tape. Obviously, he's had some injuries. He's an older player. I was blown away by an interview he did with Todd McShay, which I thought was absolutely fantastic. And then to watch his workout I thought he was really, really impressive. But he wasn't the only one. Like, I thought Jackson Dart had a good throwing session. I thought Quinn Ewers was very good. I think that Riley Leonard had a really good workout as well. I don't think Will Howard had the best workout. I don't think it was as bad as some people were making out. And then at the sort of the lower end, people like Brady Cook had a really good workout. So I think it was a good day for the quarterbacks who worked out there. And I'm more convinced than ever that they will draft a quarterback at some point.
Yeah, Tyler Shough is just getting a lot of praise, a lot of hype. And he's a guy who bounced around a lot at college. And I believe, I should pull it up, he started at Oregon, then went to Louisville, went to Texas Tech, then Louisville, right? Yeah.
He did. And the thing about him is he ran a 4.64. So he's athletic.
Yeah.
He's about 6'4", 6'5", 220 pounds, 10-inch hands. He can throw it from different angles. He's mobile. He can run. He can throw it downfield. He had some good throws against Georgia Tech in particular. Now, there are some bad plays as well. He's not flawless. And if he was flawless, he'd be the first overall pick.
Right.
But there's just something about him that I like. And I would encourage people to go and listen to the interview that he did with McShay, because you will instantly like the guy. He's
comes across as a leader,
so down to earth. Yeah, but it's got the bit between his teeth and really determined. He sort of asked why he's sort of doing it. He says, "Listen, I thought I wasn't going to be able to have a football career, and I'm at the Combine. Heck yeah, I'm going to run and jump and do all of that stuff. Why would I want to not do this?" It's amazing.
I love that. And that would be the one criticism, and I think a lot of people share, this is nothing new, is for these guys that don't participate. And I understand, like, I get the reasoning. Well, why would I want, if I go throw, I'm going to have a Will Howard where I'm overthrowing guys because I never get a throw to these guys and I've got no prep with them. But that's what I want to see. And I think that's what these guys want to see. How do you perform when you are thrown into an uncomfortable position? Because playing quarterback, you're uncomfortable all the time. And how do you react? And how do you perform? How do you lead? How do people gravitate towards you? Are you a leader out there? Can you get them to follow you? I think that's a lot of why these personnel people want to see these guys perform out there. So I think it was wrong for all of those guys who didn't perform. I would say that for Ashton Genty too, but we focus more on the quarterbacks. But for Sanders and Ward, I think it's a mistake. But
there was a whole bunch of guys who didn't do anything or picked and choose what they did at the Combine. And I have to say, I think one of my favorite things was that Tyler Booker, who was top, went to the perfect football high school, went to Alabama, 5-star recruit. Everybody thinks he's going to be a top 15 pick, has absolutely no reason to do anything. And he's 325 pounds, goes out there, runs a horrendous 40, has a horrendous set of jumps, does nothing well, is getting absolutely hammered on Twitter because, of course, Twitter knows what he's talking about. And now everyone's saying he's got, and I'm thinking, let's watch the drills, man. The guy looks like one of the best guards already in the NFL, and he's not even there yet. And he is going to be a high pick. And he had no reason to do any of that. It's not done him any favors at all. But he went out there and competed. And I tell you now, teams will appreciate stuff like that. He went out there and said, "I don't care. I'm doing it. I'm here."
And I will say this about, to the point about Will Howard. I didn't sit and watch it like you did. Did I see the viral clips of Will Howard? Yeah. And did it look good? No, it looked terrible. Some of those passes. But I would just fall back on, and again, not watching every Ohio State game, but the guy I saw out there, I mean, you can see the traits of a guy that can be a good NFL quarterback. And I'm always, like most people, like all these personnel guys, I'm going to default on what they did in the actual game. Like, how did they perform? How do they lead? How do guys rally around? When you see a Will Howard like post game, and how does he talk after a loss, and how does he talk after a win? That stuff's more important to me.
Do you know what's really important about Will Howard? Sure. Is people will hammer him for the Michigan game. Here's the thing. Teams will love that. Teams will love that he had the single most impactful setback that you could possibly have as the Ohio State quarterback in that situation, losing to Michigan. And his response to that loss was then to go and win the national championship. Yeah. That is perfect. Talking of perfect, 97.4 QBR in those 4 playoff games. When the heat is on, that's not 97.4 isn't just, it's pretty good. That's nearly perfect in 4 games. And I'm telling you now, Puck, it won't be every team because it never is, but there will be a handful of teams. It only takes one who will think that I want that guy as my quarterback. He will go in, I think, in the second round because someone is going to go, get me Will Howard. That's the guy I want as the quarterback of this franchise.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be fascinating. I think the draft's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fascinating if the Giants move up and try to get Cam Ward, and then how does Cam Ward do with being that and having to be a real face of a franchise, and let's say it's the Giants, and then in that media market dealing with it. And then, what happens to Shedeur Sanders, and where does he end up going, and do teams pass on him because of just how they feel about him? And there's just so much drama and intrigue about this year's draft. It's fascinating every year, but it just feels like it's more fascinating this year than any other year.
There's a ton of storylines, and it could get more interesting for the Seahawks if we all wake up tomorrow and they have the 23rd overall pick to go with number 18. You start, your mind starts to go. The one thing, probably should have mentioned this earlier, is the last time they traded a player in this kind of situation at this age was Frank Clark. And I can remember when they traded Frank Clark to the Chiefs, and they got a first and I think it was a second the following year. And I can remember being so excited because I run a draft blog. So they've got 2 first-round picks. They're amazing. Look, think of all this great. We've got a week to talk about it. It's amazing. And they spent those picks ultimately on LJ Collier and Marquise Blair. So if they're going to make a trade like this, they have to learn from that. They can't afford to cock this up. Frank Clark went on to win a couple of Super Bowls. I don't want DK Metcalf to be sporting a couple of nice rings in a few years' time while the Seahawks are cutting their 2 picks that they got in return.
Why have you, I'm interested in this, and you and I talking earlier, not necessarily you've changed your tune. I don't think that's fair to say. You've been very high on Dahlman, the free agent center for Atlanta, but now you tell me, hey, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need this Will Fries guy. Now tell me about why is Will Fries? Why is he caught now your attention?
Huh. Well, I didn't know anything really about Will Fries other than he played for the Colts. And I thought, I better watch this. I better watch him. I put a tweet out saying, go and get Drew Dahlman. I thought, I've not studied any of these Will Fries. And I'd studied Aaron Banks at Notre Dame, but I'd not studied Fries. And then I had a look at his profile. I'm thinking, okay, he's really athletic. He had a good career at Penn State. He's explosive. What's happened here? Then I watched the tape. Oh, my word. So last week we were talking about how perfect Gray Zabel was with his zone blocking tape. It was like that, but NFL version with Will Fries. He just did everything superbly. Everything that you want to see from a zone blocker, you could see from Will Fries. And it was a real sort of eye-opener. You've got to get this guy. He just looks perfect for them. Perfect. And you could slot him in. I know he played right guard for the Colts. He played everywhere for Penn State. He can move over to the left. I just thought this player is the guy. He is the one. You have got to go and get Will Fries next week. He's coming off a broken leg, so maybe the price is going to be a bit more realistic than it will be for someone like Drew Dahlman. Go and get Will Fries. If the Seahawks can go and get him right off the bat, it takes a lot of pressure off John Schneider, It frees things up for the draft. And if you can go and get him in, then go and try and get yourself a center as well.
Hey, if you said this in our conversations, I apologize for bringing this up, and you're like, you're an idiot. I told you that months ago. When I was talking to Dane Brugler, who works at The Athletic and who joins us for a series leading into the NFL draft, about Gray Zabel, he mentioned center. Yeah. When we've discussed, have we talked about him at center?
Yeah, I mean, I made a passing comment last week, but nothing more than that. The problem that I have with him in center is the things that he does really well are getting out, on the run and getting into space, reaching up to that second level. I just love the way that when it comes his direction, he's got the sort of subtle technique you need in the zone blocking to sort of understand, I've just got to shove this guy out the way and there'll be a cutback lane there. The minute that you ask him to get under center and actually snap the football, you are taking all of that away because his immediate priority is to snap the football and then shoot his hands. And what I want him is I want him on the line. I don't want to be able to move him around, or I want him to reach up to that second level. I don't want him to have to bother with the snap. Plus, he's 6'6". So immediately the leverage issue of playing at center, and I think we saw that at the Senior Bowl. I think his tape's amazing. I thought his Senior Bowl was massively overrated. He kept getting shoved back into the quarterback. And I don't think he's got that because of the height. I think he just basically is a big target on his chest when he's at center to be shoved backwards. So right. I would rather play him at guard and have him in that. I think that's his natural home. And then, listen, if they get the chance to draft Zabel and they bring in Will Fries, I'd have no problem. Look, Christian Haynes, thanks. You're a good depth player. Like, I don't care. Like, I'd have those two. But I think if you can get Fries in, it takes the pressure off, and then you go and get a center as well. And there's lots of good players in this draft who are not offensive linemen. You can
league's about competition, Rob. You know that. I mean, like, and just everything, not just this league, but any league. You shouldn't be scared away because you drafted someone the previous year and you can't. And if you find someone in the upcoming draft that you find is better than what you got last year, then pull the trigger. Like, because you are acquiring the best talent you possibly can. I would say this about, and I like Kenneth Walker. If they value a running back in this draft, they feel is better than Ken Walker, then draft him.
Absolutely.
I just don't hesitate. Just don't go, well, we got Ken Walker, so we don't need that. No.
It's got 1 year left.
Yeah, right. And and has an issue of staying healthy. Well, I mean, this is a very newsy day. I don't even think we covered everything with you. We got the combine thoughts on the quarterbacks, talked offensive line, talked a lot about DK Metcalf. Man, newsy.
Things are happening.
How many words are you gonna write on this DK? My God.
The thing is I had the day off work today, so yeah. I wrote something about free agency, and now I'm gonna have to go and write something about DK Metcalf. It's just I can't help it though. I'm an absolute psycho for this stuff, and I'm going to go and write that now. I should really take a couple of days off. I have got a horrendous work drive, like 7 hours for a broadcast on Friday, so that might be so hopefully nothing happens then. But
okay, get some rest, all right? Let us know how we and the viewers can help, all right? Rob, thanks for always doing it. You're the best. We say that, and I always say that as like some crutch. You're the best, but you truly are, man. Love having you on every week. Thanks for always doing it, and we'll be on the lookout for your 10,000 word breakdown on DK Metcalf requesting a trade.
Thanks, man. See you next week. See you.
There he is, Rob Staton, SeahawksDraftBlog.com. Follow him on YouTube as well. Rob Staton Football. Man, oh man, what a newsy day. It's the breaking news show of record. Has been for years. Okay, and here's the thing. We've been on the air for an hour and 15 minutes. How many commercial breaks have we taken? That's right, none. We haven't taken a single commercial break. Not one. Not 1 8-minute break. All right. I'm going to give you a little snippet of Ryan Divish. We've covered we've been all over this DK story for about an hour now. We're not taking a break now, Charlie. We're not taking a break. We're taking a break of DK. I want to play you a 15-minute, the free version of Ryan Divish. We do the Ryan Divish podcast every single week, where we talk to the one and only Divish from the Seattle Times in regards, and we cover all things Mariners. Now, the full Ryan Divish podcast is available for Puck's Posse members, $5 a month. And again, that $5 not only just supports everything free that you get on the Daily Puck Drop and pucksports.com, but also the added content as well, like Ryan Divish, like our 7-part series with Dane Brugler, breaking down in depth every week or every other week the NFL draft. So you get that and added bonus and content that is coming in the future, including a brand new show that will be starting the week of opening day that you are going to love and not want to miss. All right, Ryan Divish, we started off our conversation talking about the infield, Luis Rivas and J.P. Crawford. We talk about Ben Williamson and just where they're at, the state of the young players, where they're at right now in terms of the position groups, the 25-man roster, and of course on the longer form podcast, which you got to sign up to be a Puck's Posse member. We get Ryan's comments and thoughts on the Bob Nightengale piece from Justin Turner. Justin Turner just took a blowtorch to Mariners ownership. Here he is, the human pony keg, Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times, all brought to you by Chalet Bowl.
Right now, just on the range factor, JP's pretty consistent, like on the balls made and some of the double plays and stuff, but on the range factor. So I don't know. That's like, I feel like Rivas and Bliss are pretty interchangeable, and you may see those guys bounce back and forth, swapped out multiple times this season based on need and matchups.
And you talked about it in the story, Seattle Times, seattletimes.com. Hey, go pick up a hard copy. It's fun. Actually, I haven't picked up the hard copy today. Is it in the hard copy? I just looked at it online.
Yeah, it should
I don't
be
know.
in the hard copy.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Like, we're doing this thing where, like, stuff that's in the paper.
I know, because sometimes you guys go ahead.
Yeah, and sometimes we post it. So we're posting it in the morning, similar as the paper, because like we get more reader retention or something. I don't know.
Okay.
Like whatever, whatever they tell me to do, I'm going to do.
You are a company man, always have been.
I appreciate that you just reference my story. Don't just post a quote on Twitter.
We'll get to that because that shit is starting to really. It's tiresome and it's bothering me so much. Because there's a story that came out today about Justin Turner. All right, so third catcher, you talked about it. The Dan Wilson, as you mentioned in your story, Seattle Times, a little lukewarm on it, but why will they not carry a third catcher, that being Blake Hunt? I mean, and just go with Garver as the backup, who's going to see also a lot of time at DH?
Because I think that, and I don't know that Garver's going to see a lot of time at DH, but he could if he's hitting well. I think because Cal plays so much, carrying the third spot, it'd be different too if like your third catcher was really athletic and maybe was offered something different, like was a left-handed hitter or something like that, because Garver's right-handed. Cal being a switch hitter changes things, but I don't know how much they're going to use the two catchers at once unless Garver's hitting well. And then, like if they're at a point where Garver's hitting so well that they want to play him at DH, almost every day, or definitely if they have a run of left-handers, maybe they bring that catcher up. Blake Hunt has played really well. He's on the 40-man, and, he can handle it. I don't think they would do that with Harry Ford because you want him to play every day. So, yeah, I just think that's a move you make when like what you're going to do with your DH, and Garver's going to do it, and you're going to do it a lot. I don't think they're at that point yet, because I think they have Haniger on the team, and they want to use Polanco as the DH some if his knees, or if they want to work him back slowly into the position, like playing third base. So I don't think that they're in a position to carry a guy that's only going to play once every few weeks. Like it didn't work last year. Sebi Zavala was just like kind of, it was so bad that they didn't even want to play him the days that they could. It just like he was just an emergency guy, and it just wasn't ideal.
It's a lot of money for a backup catcher.
Oh yeah, I mean that's the thing. I think and I do think that if he hits well or whatever, they use him more. Or if they have a bunch of lefties coming, like they face a bunch of lefty starters, then they're going to use him, I think, in that position. Or they'll catch him and back Cal as the DH and get rest days. I mean, every year we hear that they got to get Cal more rest, and every year they play Cal and just run him into the ground because, one, he wants to play. That's he feels that responsibility. So, I don't know. I mean, to me, I just don't see, coming out of spring training when everybody's healthy, I don't think you need to carry the 3 catchers unless you have a definite plan that you're going to play Garver more. And let's say, he's hit the ball pretty well this spring. So if he's mashing the ball and they decide, okay, we want to do that. But at the same time, like, the roster has some issues unless you're comfortable just eating money. And this is an organization that didn't want to give them money to spend in the offseason. Are they really going to just eat money for a player not to have him play? I mean, and we've said this before on here, that's not a Jerry DiPoto decision to release Mitch Haniger and pay $14 million for him not to play. That's a John Stanton, Chris Larson decision as much as anything, because you're asking to pay money for a player that's not going to be playing for you. And so that's kind of where they're at. So my guess is like they're going to keep Haniger, who's looked pretty good this spring, and try and wring as much value out of him as possible. And there is a chance like that if he stays healthy and if he does, swing the bat well, he can help them. I mean, we saw that in the first month of last season. He was a viable player, and then he just got ran into the ground because they were trying to win and they didn't have anybody else hitting, and you're reactive to the moment. And they didn't rest him, and he got he got slowed down. So I think they're going to keep Haniger and then go that way.
All right, when we kind of look at the overall kind of team right now, and really no other surprises, just in terms of what you had in the 25-man roster. Let me go back to Polanco for a second. He DH'd the other day. It's the first time you saw him action in spring training. Still has not done anything in the infield yet. It's a slow play. I get he's coming off a knee injury. Is there a worry that he's not ready opening day to play third?
I mean, they're going to get him out there here. I think this week, I think next or on Monday. I don't know what day it is, but I think
it's
next
Wednesday,
week,
March 5th.
After he plays in some games, they're going to see how he reacts to playing in the games, running the bases, and then they'll start working him at third base in the full workouts. Like, he's been doing defensive work, like all the fundamentals that Perry Hill does, and he takes ground balls and does their normal ground ball routine. Mm-hmm. He just doesn't do anything where he has to charge hard and stop, because that puts a lot of pressure on it. They're just trying to build up the strength around in the quad and stuff. He's been doing the running and everything else. So I think once he's cleared to do that and they see how he reacts. But I mean, if he comes out of it, like let's say he does a full defensive workout and the next day is really sore, then they're going to dial it back. So I think that's what you have to monitor, is how much, by that last week of the season, is he playing a full game at third base, and is he going to be able to post back to back? And given the versatility they have with Moore and he's out in Bliss or whoever, they don't have to necessarily play him every day right away to start the season. They can build him up and kind of ease him in. But at the same point, you spent the money for him to be your third baseman, so you kind of hope that he is out there more often than not.
Donovan Solano, what his role? Will he just sit there and platoon with Raley? What do you envision him when the season starts?
He'll platoon with Raley a little bit, and I think you could see, like I said, at third maybe. He can DH. He'll definitely be a pinch hitter when they need him late in games, that kind of thing. He's 37 years old, so you can't run him out there every day. I mean, that's not ideal. He's 37.
I would kill to be 37 again, by the way.
I know.
God.
I feel like I'm 57 today. I think they'll pick and choose the spots to play him. I doubt he'll be a guy that gets 500 plate appearances. They're going to use him the way they want, and use him judiciously, as they say, and try and find the best matchups for him.
I want to go through some real or fake numbers, because we always get excited about like the spring training numbers, right?
Yeah.
And then if the numbers are bad, we all freak out. So we can freak out about Dylan Moore. I don't think he has a hit so far during spring training. Mm-hmm. All right. So then, oh my God, Dylan Moore, he's going to be a disaster at second base. And then we'll get super excited because Mitch Garver's hitting 417. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, isn't Harry Ford hitting 600 right now?
Yeah, he's 6 for 10 from the.
So that's pretty good.
Well, they're like 4 infield hits and 2 single. They're all. Hey,
singles. They all count. Their count as hits.
They're line drives in the book, as you tell your son, or in the Game Changer. If you have the right mom running Game Changer, they're all hits.
Oh, if you got the right mom, that single with 4 errors, in my book, that was a home run.
Yeah, I mean, it went underneath the guy's legs. He picked it up and threw it in the stands, but I think that's a double. No, I mean, like Harry, they're all singles.
How's he playing? Because I look at the numbers, you've seen him. I mean, I see 600 and go, Jesus, man.
He's playing well. I mean, like he's good defensively. He's not elite, for as athletic as he is. He hasn't kind of reached that status, but he's good defensively. He can really move well behind the plate. They haven't really ran on him too much, but he can throw. The hitting is where I think that kind of limits his prospect value. Wow. He works a count. He has a good on base percentage. He understands the strike zone. Yeah, the power just hasn't come, and he's a guy that can deadlift the world and squat the world. It just hasn't translated, and some people think it's going to happen. Some people think it's just going to be more of a line drives and lots of singles, and not the power that they thought. And I mean that's okay. Not everybody has a power hitting catcher that's like Cal Raleigh. Just it's his value that just diminishes his value as a prospect. I think that's why we didn't see him traded last offseason or during the season last year, because his value hadn't kind of crested the way people thought.
The Ben Williamson hype. I mean, it has taken a life of its own, right? Because there is like, it feels like a segment of the fan base that wants him up now and ready to play. How they're not going to do it, we know that. Let's just stop it now.
Yeah.
He's not making the 25-man roster. But how quickly do you think he could be up? I mean, there got to be some factors involved. Let's say Polanco's not healthy. Let's say it's just not working out for him. And I know they can slide more over there to play third, and then Bliss could be second. But let's say, the second base ends up being a kind of a train wreck. How ready do you think Ben Williamson could be right now? Okay, let's start with this. Glove-wise, is he ready?
Oh, glove-wise, he's fine.
Okay, bat-wise is where he's not.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not like he's a bad hitter. There's just not a lot of power there, and he's not going to – I don't know that he'll ever hit for a lot of power, just kind of with the way he's seeing. He's really strong. It's just more line drives, gap to gap. That's fine. I mean, the kid's played like 125 minor league games. And you're going to call him up just because the defense carries him? He's like, well, he only has to carry an 85 WRC plus, and it makes it valuable. Yeah, it's fine in theory, but – when a guy is, what are you doing to his progress and his development as well? I don't think it's a good idea. I was on the Ben Williamson hype train last spring because I watched him do these workouts, and I was always talking about this kid's going to be good. He's, but I don't know that you ever look at him and just say, okay, this is an everyday third baseman right now, and he's older than Julio.
I know, it's just crazy. It's absolutely, it's great. But is there glimpses that you see of the offensive potential at all with him?
Yeah, because he hits the ball really hard. It's just line drives. It's not a power swing. It's a short, compact swing. It's not pretty all the time, but he hits the ball hard. It's kind of like, not quite like Evan White, who hit the ball unbelievably hard, but it's just simple and short, and he hits the ball hard. The defense is his carrying tool. He'll be at AAA Tacoma, and he's going to put up numbers in Tacoma if he puts the bat on the ball, because those are hitting parks in the AAA. But I think you got to go there and let him. He's barely seen anything. It's not just that he's only playing like 130 minor league games or whatever it is, or 150. I'd have to look. But he played at William and Mary. It's not like he played in an elite league. That was how he raised his draft stock, was going to the Cape Cod League to perform against them, because he just and really his average kind of started to and the doubles and stuff started to creep up his senior year. So you want him to develop and continue on that path, but putting him at the MLB level just because he can play defense, I mean, like, come on.
In 2 minor league seasons, he's got 585 plate appearances. He only has 4 home runs.
Yeah,
and then and then in 4 college seasons at you mentioned William and Mary, which, by the way, wonderful campus. If if you've never been, go visit. Oh my God, it's glorious. 4 seasons, 19 home runs. Yeah. So he's never been.
The power
never
didn't
been
really come till his last season anyway. So he's a really good player and he can help them, but expecting him to be the opening day third baseman or filling in for Polanco, I just think that's unrealistic. Why would you get all these other guys? Why would you get these utility guys or these guys that can play multiple positions if you can't?
Can he play second base?
No, he's a third baseman only. He was a shortstop and third baseman.
Okay.
So, I mean, like, he's big. Like, he's not little. He's a big
It's too
dude.
big. Yeah, too big to play over there. Okay.
Yeah, they're fine. Like, second base is going to be second base, and that's a position you can still just kind of tweak throughout the time. Like, but if they have to go with Dylan Moore for a bit more at third base because Polanco's hurt, then that's what they do. I mean, and honestly, like, we're 3 weeks away or whatever from regular season. How many weeks? March 5th.
Yeah, 22 days, right? March 27th.
I mean, like, there's going to be big league players available on the waiver wires or whatever, because there's a lot of players that haven't, that don't have minor league options. They can go that route as well if they had to, or a small trade for cash, whatever they want to do, they can do it that way. If they really think Polanco, I think doing that makes more sense than pushing a kid who maybe isn't ready to do that. You could argue that putting him at AAA is going to be advanced in the sense that he didn't play that many games at AA because he got hurt last year.
There he is, Ryan Divish, and the full Ryan Divish podcast, again, available to Puck's Posse members. Just go to pucksports.com and sign up to get the full, what was today? Almost 50, like 45 plus minutes. We didn't include his comments about Justin Turner, and the article, if you haven't seen the article that came out today, USA Today, from Bob Nightengale. Justin Turner just torching the Mariners front office. Well, more so the ownership group. But again, sign up today. Join Puck's Posse. You will get Ryan Divish, the full Ryan Divish podcast, both audio and video. Signing up just $5 a month. You can go to pucksports.com. If you want to, if you're watching live or watching later, you can click on that QR code and it will take you right there. In addition, that gets you our weekly conversation is our series of interviews with Dane Brugler from The Athletic, author of The Beast as well. Big thanks to Ryan Divish. And someone said in the chat, and they're right, the birds and the plane and the sound of spring. It's almost here. It's coming. It's promised. It's coming. Well, that's a newsy day. That's a newsy news. This is why I decided, when we started Puck Sports and started the Daily Puck Drop, the first, if you've been along, from the get-go, and by the way, coming up March 27th, that will be a year, by the way, opening day. The first 5-6 months of it, it was just taped. None of it was live. We just, we did it. We would always tape it in the morning and play it as a true, I guess, podcast. And then when we got into the fall, I said, you know what? I miss the live kind of theater of radio, like the live performance theater of it, because it's different when you tape something opposed to when you're live, because stuff can go wrong and you got to deal with it, or stuff can break. And so that's why, like, today is why I made the decision to go live, because we get the Justin Turner, we get Tyler Lockett, and we get DK Metcalf, all within 40 minutes. All of it. Beautiful. Just absolutely glorious today. So it was a jam-packed show. If in case you missed it, go back and watch or listen to the podcast, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, your favorite podcast platforms. Jim Moore's reaction to the first 30, 40 minutes of the show in regards to the Justin Turner, USA Today, Bob Nightengale story, Rob Staton's thoughts, along with Jim on DK Metcalf requesting a trade. When everybody, all these people told me you can't trade him and he won't be traded. And then he comes out today requesting a trade. That's why I just stopped talking about absolutes. And what else? We barely scratched the surface of Tyler Lockett at all. My God. Crazy news day. All right, we wrap up the Daily Puck Drop as we do every single day with the Hey What the Puck, which is brought to you by one of our best sponsors in the world. Just a great sponsor. Restoration One of North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com. A couple of different things here. One, I'll just sit there and give you some brief thoughts. We'll probably have more on it later, probably more on it tomorrow. But Tyler Lockett being released, and again, this was not going to be a surprise that Tyler Lockett was going to be released. I think most people knew that this day was going to come. I think most Seahawk fans have an appreciation for this guy and should have an appreciation for this guy. I remember the day they drafted him, and we're working at KJR doing the draft show as we did every year. And I remember sitting next to Tony Softly, and Tony Softly, and even leading up to the draft, was talking about Tyler Lockett. And I know he had there's a relationship there somehow, but he kept pumping up Tyler Lockett over and over and over again. And they ended up making a trade move, and acquiring Tyler Lockett. And I always remember that day, the look on Tony Softly's face. People don't remember Tony Softly used to be on KJR. Was a long time NFL personnel person for multiple teams in the NFL, and he was on KJR for years. One of our NFL guys, and he just raved about him. He's like, "You're gonna love him. He's gonna do everything right. Hardest worker. He's just meticulous with his practice, meticulous with his route running. Remember Tony that day, even at whatever he was, 21 or 22, just said he is a pro's pro. And damn it, he was a pro's pro. I mean, Tyler Lockett was one of the best wide receivers this organization has ever had. But not only just one of the best wide receivers, I think just one of the best, most intriguing and engaging athletes that I think has ever stepped foot in this market. I think that he was one of those guys that wasn't the biggest, wasn't the fastest. I thought what he did in the community, what he's done outside of football to have and he's made plenty of money playing football. He doesn't need to have a second job. For those who don't know, he's a real estate agent. But he knows there has to be a life after football because when he's done playing football, my God, he's got more than half of his life to live. And he became a real estate agent. And this is the type of guy you don't want to say he's not perfect, but just did everything kind of the right way. And you hear that a lot. And I'm sure he's made some mistakes in his life like we all have. But he is just a phenomenal wide receiver. I think a type of player that you want your kids to kind of look up to and try to emulate. That if you put the work in, and you have to have talent as well, but never stop working hard. He ranks, just reading Bob Condotta's piece today that he quickly had up at the SeattleTimes.com, second in team history behind, Steve Largent, receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns, second in punt return yards. God, you forget he was a punt returner for many years, as well as yards per kickoff return for touchdowns, 10th in franchise history in games played, three-time winner of the Steve Largent Award, as Bob wrote today, which is voted on by the players to give to the player or coach who best exemplifies the spirit, dedication, integrity of the Seahawks. His stats decline like they all do when they get older, but boy, just so much news coming out today, and some of it can be negative, and we all tend to kind of gravitate towards that, myself included. Take a step back and really just have a Tyler Lockett appreciation, because he was one of the greatest players that has ever put on a Seahawks uniform. Not only what he did on the field, but also what he accomplished off the field. So Godspeed ahead there to Tyler Lockett, wherever his next stop takes him. That is Hey, What the Puck, again, brought to you by Restoration One of North Seattle. Your restoration company lets you avoid the stress of water, fire, and mold damage with their property restoration services. Locally owned and operated. Make them your first call when those damages affect your residential or commercial property. 206-817-8917. Visit them online at restoration1.com, the North Seattle franchise. All right, it was kind of a long one today. We went a little overtime. Thank you for all those watching and listening today. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Limback Lumber, A Clean Streak, also the Home Course, Chalet Bowl, Georgetown Brewery. Go please check out their brand new tavern beer at your local bar. Put down the one that has the R on it and go grab a tavern beer. Locally, domestic style lager brewed here in Washington. Visit them at Georgetown Brewery, also georgetownbeer.com. And, of course, always big thanks to Restoration One. Today's Daily Puck Drop, you can find it up on YouTube. When you're there, please subscribe to the channel. Also find the Daily Puck Drop on all of your favorite podcast platforms. And, of course, always up at pucksports.com. When you're at pucksports.com, as I mentioned before, please sign up to be a member of the Pucks Posse. $5 a month, support the show, all the free content we do on Puck Sports, also the Daily Puck Drop, and VIP and exclusive content as well, like our baseball coverage with Ryan Divish of the Seattle Times, and our NFL draft coverage, our 7-part series with Dane Brugler from The Athletic. Check it out at pucksports.com. All right, newsy one. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday, Thursday edition of the show. We'll talk more football. Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network stops by. We get his thoughts on the DK, Geno Smith, Tyler Lockett, what's going on. Also, Michael Shandugar from The Athletic. Did I say Mike Garafolo from the Athletic or NFL Network? I can't remember. Anyways, but it's both. It's a Mike Thursday. Michael Shandugar from The Athletic, Mike Garafolo from the NFL Network. All right. We'll talk to you tomorrow. As always, promise to be better.
No shoes, no ties.
Would anybody like to smoke some pot?
Yeah.
I was born to love you. I was born to lick your face. I was born to rub you. But you were born to rub me first.
What do you need my address for?
We'd like to send out a mailer.
Mother of mercy, I don't speak Japanese!